Hello everyone, today I'm working on this Atlas 462. These were made for Atlas by Rivarossi and they're very old. Most of them don't run anymore. But when I went to the train show, I hooked up with a guy. He says there's a guy that can rebuild the motors, the wheels, the gears, everything's perfect in these engines. And they look pretty good to me. But truly the motors are the weak point. To be fair, they are many years old, so I certainly understand. On another subject, when you go to the dollar store, open your eyes. I picked these up quickly because there's a nice little screwdriver in them, so that can always come in handy. But as I looked into them, I noticed on top of the nice little screwdriver, there's a bunch of little screws in there. So you may or may not have a use for them, but I think these little screws are really good to get. If you lose something, you can use, especially this one. I'll get my small pliers out there. Especially this one looks to be the exact same size for KD couplers. So it's very nice to have these. In case you lose something, it's gonna happen. Or if you have a project that needs a little extra little screw, they're available at your local dollar store. So like I said, keep your eyes open. So this operation that we're doing here, it doesn't really require a ton of skill to get the motor out. The tender's always separate when you store it in the box, so that's not hard to take out. This is like an HO scale engine. The tender picks up one side of the track and the engine picks up the other side of the track. So all you need to do is remove the shell. There's just one screw holding it. That should come right out nice and easy. It's just hooked on the bottom of the motor. It just comes out from the front rather. So I don't pull too hard on them because I actually really like them. And I think the shell is good looking. There's a little weight in here with the light bulb. So if these light bulbs work, I keep them like that. So the drive system, sometimes the frames will disintegrate from just rust, from oxidation. So that's not very good, not very pleasant. So to remove the motor, there's just two little screws. So I'm going to use my dollar store screwdriver. To me, this doesn't require too much skill to do. Anybody that's into trains should be able to do this. So these two screws, from my point of view, they're big screws. Same from the screw that's keeping the shell on. That's a big screw. And then once you have the two screws, you can just pull on the motor gently, and you've got your motor. So you have to send this through the mail. This one still runs, but I'm gonna want it to be repowered just to get that extra oomph. And then we'll send that. Also have to send the truck because there's a little steel part in the truck, in the rear truck, that's made out of steel, so it's magnetized. So as the engine goes down the track, the new magnet is so powerful that it will pull the truck up, so you don't want that. So you have to send that as well, and he's going to replace it with a brass part which is non-magnetic. So I have to send this out, and then when it comes back, we'll put it on. To you, it's going to appear like just 1 second, but to me, it's going to be like almost a month. Well, all my stuff came back through the mail, and all I have to do is reinstall it. So if you want to reach that guy that does all the conversions for me, I will put a link to one of his videos in the description. It took about, I sent him 4 motors, and it took about 2 weeks to get it done. Probably if you send him just one, it'll be a shorter time. Wow, that new magnet really is powerful. So that just slips in there. Actually, I'm going to double check one thing. This pin has to have a little bit of tension on it because it has to contact the frame. But I think it's going to be good now. So then reinstall the 2 screws. Just like so. And I've got a little wire for my light to reinstall on the motor. That won't take me too long. And then I can reinstall the light and the rear truck. And that should be that, as they say. I think most people with basic skills can do this. Let's just test it on the bench to see where we're at. Check this out. Absolutely awesome. So the real test is on the track though. And also, before I put my shell back together, the trailing truck used to have a metal part here. We replaced it with a brass part. That makes all the difference because the magnet was so powerful it would pull the truck up, so you don't want that. So let's reinstall that. I'm gonna try and refocus this better for you guys. That's just a little bit of work with your screwdriver. And that comes right in here. Easy breezy Japanesey. These are made in Italy, however. But if you like me and you like Kado, Kado is made in Japan. There. Now I can put the shell back on. I'm going to be mindful of this wire. I don't want it to get into the way of anything. But it should be tucked away inside here. This little wire for the little light. So as I bring this in, I just want to be careful so that it's tucked away. And that should be good. I'm going to test it on the bench again just to be sure. So basically 1 wire to the frame and one wire that imitates the tender. So we're golden. Now we've got to put this little screw that goes on top here. And hook up the tender. And now it's time to run some trains. So they do run a little slower. So that's kind of cool. I'm gonna put a nice passenger train behind it so you could see it do its thing. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that if you're a beginner to the hobby, I would spend the extra money and get a Concorde 464. These you'll be spending a lot more time running trains than with one of these tinkering. Although I'm enjoying this very much. These are fun to work on. All aboard! Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.